Question for you. How are you doing? Likely you'd answer that question, I'm fine, or I'm busy. We give these sort of bland answers, and I think we do because you and I, we live, well, a lot of our life sort of in between. We live between, I'm great, and life stinks. Somewhere between, I've got it all together, and life is out of control. We live somewhere between, it couldn't be better, and I think I'm losing my mind, don't we? In chapter 21 of Matthew, which I invite you to read today, Jesus finds himself in this in-between spot. Jesus has finally arrived in Jerusalem, and we know where the story is going, but his turn to the cross hasn't happened quite yet. It's like we're in between two chapters of his story. He's arrived to a hero's welcome, a welcome fit only for a king. For those gathered, Jesus is Lord. He's their king, their Messiah, and yet we feel a tension. Herod is king. Caesar is Lord. Pilate is governor. Jesus is in between these two realities. On the one hand, the crowd shout, Hosanna, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. They adore him. And yet it says that the whole city was in a frenzy asking, who is this man? Jesus climbs the temple steps with authority. He overturns the tables of the money changers. And yet, when he's confronted by the chief priests and the elders, they ask him, who do you think you are? Jesus is in between two realities, in between two powers and principalities. He's in between the season of his ministry and the cross. And I think you and I, we know what it's like to find ourselves somewhere in between, if you will. In fact, I think we spend much of our lives in those in-between places. We have those seasons where we find ourselves waiting for a marriage to get better, a tumor to go away, waiting for our kids to get a little bit older, waiting for a promotion or a raise, that acceptance letter. Or some of us, we have seasons where we find ourselves in hard, difficult, painful situations that just seem to never end. Or maybe for you, it's a season of guilt or shame or hurt or disbelief, and you're wondering, when is it all going to end? And here's what I think. The same is true for our faith. I think we live most of our days somewhere between faith and doubt. We know we believe, but we've got all these questions. We wrestle with God when life takes a turn we never expected. And we turn on the news to one more tragedy. That's where we live most of our days, isn't it? In that in-between place. Somewhere between faith and doubt. Somewhere between I'm fine and everything's falling apart. As we walk with Jesus, that's where he is. He's in between. And what I hope you don't miss as you read chapter 21 is that the reason this particular moment in Jesus' life is important is that the authors wanted everyone who would ever read this story to know that God was with those ancient people in their in-between times. And the same is true for you and for me. You never need to doubt where God is when you feel that you're in one of those in-between places. God is right there with you. And so today I invite you to consider two questions. Where do you find yourself in between today? And how will you remind yourself during this season that God is right there with you?